You ever wonder, can a single sentence, just one, completely change the entire course of a person's life? I mean, really change it? Well, for one young man, it did. It took a life that was absolutely teetering on the edge and pointed it toward a brand new mission. This is the incredible story of Xiao He.
So, just take a look at this. On the one hand, you've got a troubled youth, a drug user, someone with a heart of ice. And on the other, a graduate student, a scholar in crime prevention, a helping hand. I mean, it's night and day. But here's the wild part. This isn't two different people. This is the before and after of a young man named Xiao He. And the bridge between these two worlds? It all came into focus with a single, totally unexpected phone call. Okay, picture this. Your phone rings, and it's a voice from a past you've tried to leave behind. A voice that knew you at your absolute worst. Well, that's exactly what happened. On one end of the line was teacher A. Gan. On the other, the young man he once knew as a deeply troubled teen. But the Zhao He on the phone that day, he's a completely different person. He's a graduate student now, and what he's studying, well, it's more than just a major. It's his life story.
His new goal is honestly breathtaking. He wants to become a juvenile protection officer. But this is the part that really gets me. He isn't trying to escape his past. He's running right back into it. He wants to go back to the exact places where he fell, not to forget, but to help. To use his own story as a map for other kids who are feeling just as lost as he once was. So, what gives someone that kind of courage, The strength to face down their own past like that? For Zhao He, it wasn't some fancy program. It was an idea. A really powerful idea that his teacher gave him. It's something we're calling the 1% belief. Teacher Agan didn't sugarcoat anything. He laid out the cold, hard facts. For a kid with a past like Xiao Hei's, the drugs, the trauma, the chances of turning it all around are tiny. I mean, to not just survive, but to actually thrive, the success rate is less than 1%. Can you imagine hearing that? It's not just a number, it's a massive wall standing right in front of you, built out of doubt. But then, right in front of that massive wall, Teacher Agan did something amazing. He looked right at Xiao He and said, "Teacher believes you are that 1%. Just let that sink in for a second. He didn't just say, "I hope you make it." He said, "I believe you are the exception." That single sentence was an act of rebellion against the odds. It was a declaration that Xiao He wasn't just a statistic, he was a story waiting for a new ending. Now, for a spark like that to catch fire, you need to understand the kind of emotional world it landed in. To really get why those words were so powerful, we have to go back. We have to understand the ice that had formed around Xiao Hei's heart, and the story of how it finally started to melt. Xiao Hei's childhood, man, it was just one storm after another. His father was an alcoholic and abusive. His mother, well, she eventually left. The kids were all separated. And in the middle of all that chaos, a young Xiao He was left with this burning anger, and he aimed all of it, every last bit, at his mother. That hurt just grew and grew until it became this impenetrable wall around his heart. And if you want a picture of just how thick that wall was, here it is. He's in a juvenile facility. His mom comes to visit him, and she's just crying her eyes out. And Xiao He, he just looks at her. Cold. No emotion. No anger. Not even that. Just nothing. The wall was so high that not even his own mother's tears could find a crack. But here's the thing about walls. Even the thickest ice can crack. For Xiao He, it didn't happen with some big, dramatic explosion. Nope. It was a series of small, almost random moments that all, somehow, happened on the very same day. So there were three things. First, he sits through a lecture, and the speaker tells a story that sounds weirdly familiar. Second, he hears a single sentence in that story that hits him like an electric shock. And third, a song comes on the radio that just speaks directly to a part of his soul he'd buried for years. The story in the lecture was about a songwriter whose life was a lot like his. And then came this one line, "Don't doubt your mother's love for you." For most people, maybe that's just a nice phrase. For Xiao He, it was a seismic event. It was the first real crack in that wall of resentment he had been building his entire life. So that crack is there. He's feeling things he hasn't felt in years. And then, later that night, it starts to rain. A song comes on the radio, "Home I." And the lyrics, they were about to bring the whole wall down. I mean, the lyrics were basically his diary.
A cold soul. Yep, that was the ice he'd built around himself. Longing for home. That was the secret ache. The one thing he never, ever let himself admit he wanted. The lecture, that one sentence, and now this song. It was a 1-2-3 punch that just shattered him. And for the first time in forever, Zhao He just let himself feel it all. But here's the thing. This wasn't just about having an emotional breakdown. It was about what happened next. Because Xiaohe didn't just break down, he broke through. And he used that breakthrough to build a whole new life. He took 3 huge steps, and each one took so much courage. First, he reconnected. He called his mom and said the 2 words that could heal years of pain. I miss you. Second, he went back to school. He wasn't trying to erase his past, he was building a future. And third, he redefined everything. He looked at all his pain not as a weakness, but as a strength, a unique tool he could use to help people. And this, right here, is what it's all about. It's like turning lead into gold. The trauma, the pain, you could say that was his fate, the hand he was dealt. But his mission, that was his choice. He decided his scars weren't something to hide. They were a source of empathy. And just like that, he turned his biggest weakness into his greatest strength. Xiaohe's story is such a powerful reminder that our deepest wounds can actually become our greatest gifts, that hidden inside every story of pain is the potential for a new purpose. And it kind of leaves you with a question you have to ask yourself, right? What's the mission that might be hidden inside your own story?